means and so forth. So it didn't mean thou shalt not kill, but it does mean thou shalt not commit murder. And I believe that's even including self-murder. You should not kill yourself, because we're told in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 that you are the temple of God.
Yes.
Know you not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, and you are not your own. Now, those out in the world, they don't necessarily belong to God. I know that proper belief says that we're all God's children. No, we're all God's creation. But how many know everybody's not all God's children? Well, we are His creation, and He loves His creation. And it breaks my heart when people in the world do those things, but it's doubly troubling when those in the church are even considering it in their own lives. Now, I know that you said, well, Pastor, who would do such a thing like that? You don't know how deep people have gotten, how far they've gone. They even contemplate that, but I know there's several in this church. The Holy Ghost told me that He said, you need to address this and let them know what I think about it. Amen? So, we're going to talk about murder, killing, and then self-murder. Throughout, and without contradiction, I want you to understand we're living in a violent time. Right now, where you are right now, this is a violent time that we're living in like never before. We live in violent times. There's violence everywhere. And I know this is, now I'm a man of faith, and I know, but this is not going to be one of the kind of messages. This is one of the kind of messages make you just think, man, hey, God, we need to pray. Because you don't know who you may be sitting next to that have contemplated, I'm ready to end it all. I'm ready to just get out of here. I'm ready to check out of here. You just don't know, so we need to pray. And the problem with this violence is it's not just local, it is worldwide. We read it, well, I quoted Exodus 20:13, thou shalt not kill. And then, real quick, go to the book of Revelation. The book of Revelation of Jesus Christ. You know that's what I call it, right? It is the revelation of Jesus Christ. And book of Revelation chapter 21. See what the Master has to say. Revelation 21. We're going to start at verse 7. And when you have it, say, I have it. Revelation 21, verse 7, or you can look on the screen from the video, praise God. Revelation 21, verse 7 says, he that overcometh shall inherit all things. And I will be his God, and he shall be my son. But the fearful and unbelieving, and the abominable, and murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars. How many liars? All. Not some, all of them. Shall have their part in the lake of fire, which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Now, I want to look at this where it says, and murderers. We're going to take a look at God's word to see, does that mean yourself as well? Let's dig into this and see what it means, because I don't want people to be misguided and misunderstood that if you kill yourself, that you may automatically be okay. I'm not sure about that. But let's see what God's word says. But the taking of human life is old as human history itself. I'm going to give you some words that you probably never heard of before and give you the meaning of it before we even get to the word suicide. But how many is familiar with the word suicide? Amen. Amen. Can I ask a question? How many has personally been touched by suicide? Anybody here? I see hands here. People that have taken their life that you were close to. It devastates everybody. Not just them, it devastates the whole family. It devastates friends. Because then it plays a mind game on you. Maybe I could have said something here. Right. Or what if maybe I didn't sense the signs. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it affects everybody. It hurts everybody. But killing has many forms. And if there's a form of killing, which, how many is familiar with the word homicide? Y'all watch 48 Hours. Amen. Homicide. Homicide is one person that kills another person. That's homicide. But here's one that you're probably not familiar with. It's called patricide. Patricide, P-A-T-R-I-C-I-D-E. Patricide is the murder of one's father. when you kill your daddy. That's patricide. There's another one called matricide. M-A-T-R-I-C-I-D-E. Matricide is the killing of one's mother. You can't even imagine the killing of one's mother, but how many know it happens all the time? Matricide. We have another one called infanticide. Now that's self-explanatory. Infanticide, that is the murder of a baby. Then you have feticide. That is abortion. I don't care how many laws they pass, God still says it's killing. Amen. I don't want to bring condemnation on anybody. If anyone to listen to me ever had an abortion, I know there's forgiveness in Jesus Christ. Amen. But the psychological damage that it causes is almost unbearable. Amen. I have counseled with many women that have had abortions and to assure them that God has forgiven them because they truly repented. But the mental stuff that it does to you. Yeah. Many of them end up in places and on medicine because they cannot get it out of their mind that they've actually taken a human life that had no choice. Right. And you have to try to restore them and bring them back to the place that God has forgiven and washed it away. Yeah. But I know you still got to deal with that mind. Yeah. Then you have fratricide. F-R-A-T-R-I-C-I-D-E. Fratricide. That is the slaying of a brother or sister. That's when you kill your siblings. See how many of this stuff is old as the Bible? Cain and Abel. Amen? Amen. Fratricide. And that brings us to our topic today, which is suicide. Suicide is the killing of oneself. It is murdering of one's self. Some physicians nowadays call suicide a disease. They say it's a disease, and sometimes it runs in families. Now, I don't know if it's a disease or not. They seem to believe it is. But I do know families that you trace their history. There is someone in that generation that have killed themselves from family to family, from generation to generation. And how many know that can be broken in the name of Jesus? Some physicians call it disease, and the law calls it a crime. Did you know it is illegal to kill yourself? Now, some laws are trying to change to make it to where if you're terminally ill and to give you the choice. But I still believe that life and death is still in the hands of God. Right. Yeah. Religion calls suicide a sin. The Japanese, and I'm not here to offend anybody, but anybody know anything about Japanese culture, they glorify suicide. Right. Especially in World War II, kamikaze pilots and so forth. My dad was in World War II, and my dad told me stories. I had to just pull it out because my dad didn't like talking about the war. Yes. But you know, a young kid, I'm trying to, and Dad, did you do this? Did you do that? Right. Did you ever kill anybody? He always would stray away from that. He said, son, don't ask me about this stuff. Amen. But he did talk about some Japanese that he bet that they would rather die than surrender. Amen. Because suicide was glorified in their culture. And the Israelites, they abhorred suicide. It was something that was a taboo that you didn't really even think about. If a Jew did do that, it was almost unforgivable. But suicide, brothers and sisters, it is increasing. In America, it is increasing around the world. And I'm here to tell you that 40,000 Americans take their own lives every year. Can you get your mind around 40,000 people every year? But the thing about it, 500,000 attempt it. But 40,000 make it. And if one person makes it, how many know that's one person too many? How many parents have lost children that they didn't even see the sign? How many wives have lost husbands and husbands have lost wives because they didn't see the sign? How many people have lost brothers and sisters because they didn't see the sign? But suicide in the United States, 40,000 people every year. And the doctors right now, they have concluded that millions of people are considering suicide every day. Millions of people are considering taking their own life. Now, if you're sitting here today and you've never thought about it, I want you to know God understands what you're going through. But God does not want anyone to take their own life. Amen. Listen to this. An attempt at suicide I want to give you some stats here. An attempt at suicide is made every a minute and a half. Every minute and a half, somebody is trying to kill themselves. If we sit here and wait a minute and a half, somebody has just attempted suicide. But the sad thing about it, some of them are going to make it. And here's even sadder, some of them are in the church. Let me tell you something that's very interesting that I found in my research. Suicide is the sixth leading cause of death in America. The sixth leading cause of death. And now you would think, I'm going to show you who's the leader, one of the leaders in suicide. When I read this, it blew my mind. But psychiatrists commit suicide at a rate 4 times the average rate. These are people, their job is to get into your mind. That's probably why some of them do it, because they got into your mind. Psychiatrists, the Greek word suke, means dealing with the mind. So the psychiatrists that study the mind, they kill themselves 4 times the average rate than average Americans. Hey. You would think, man, they would be on their game because they've studied it. Right. But no. You want to know somebody else who does it? That when I read this and I looked it up, it blew my mind. Dentists. Dentists have an extremely high suicide rate, 7 or 8 times the natural average. Dentists. I'm saying now, I'm trying to be serious with this. I'm not trying to be funny. But what would cause the dentist to lead the nation in suicide? Right. Now, you can draw your own conclusions with that. Here's something else you need to know. Women are more apt than men to attempt suicide. But men succeed more often. Women try more than men, but men succeed more often than women. So that means women try to kill themselves double the time great men does, but men succeed. Isn't that interesting? Yes. Sisters, let me tell you something. When you don't know who you are, and you don't know what you have in you. Hallelujah. See, people who commit suicide, they don't know who they are. Amen. Is suicide in the Bible? Let's look at the scripture and see where suicide is first mentioned. Matter of fact, there are 5 instances where people have killed themselves in the Bible. We're going to look at 3 of them. I want you to go to 1 Samuel chapter 31. 1 Samuel chapter 31. We're going to look at some instances where people have killed themselves in the Bible. Anybody ever heard of King Saul? Yeah. King Saul. 1 Samuel chapter 31. And I certainly appreciate you guys' patience and your listening, because I know this is some serious stuff. It is. Thank you. Because we have people right now that you may go to work with. You may shop at the same store. You may eat at the restaurant. Or they may even be living in your house. Amen. Yep. This is how serious this is. 1 Samuel chapter 31. Let's look at verse 3. It says, and the battle went sore against Saul, and the archers hit him, and he was sore wounded of the archers. Then said Saul unto his armor-bearer, draw thy sword, and thrust me through therewith, lest these uncircumcised come and thrust me through, and abuse me. But his armor-bearer would not, for he was so afraid. Therefore Saul took a sword and fell upon it. Saul killed himself because Saul was wounded and Saul did not want to be captured. And Saul asked his armor-bearer, kill me. But his armor-bearer said, no, I'm not going to kill you, because they may kill me if I kill the king. But Saul was so desperate that he did not want to be captured. In his mind, he reasoned that it would be okay. So Saul took a sword and killed himself. And you know why he did that? Because he lost the respect of the people, because he lost the battle, and he lost his throne and life. Saul figured he had nothing to lose. And when people commit suicide, they are at their lowest. They figure they have nothing to lose, but they don't understand it's not just them they're affecting.
Right, amen.
If people, and I know that people are at all stages in life and maturity and so forth, but man, I can't see nothing that bad where God can get you out of it.
That's right, amen.
Saul killed himself. Now, turn to 2 Samuel chapter 17. And I'm going to try to say this name right. If I mess it up, y'all just give me some grace. But I mean, they had some names in the Bible. But they got some now I can only say. But 2 Samuel chapter 17, 17. Let's look at verse 23. 2 Samuel 17 and 23. It says, and when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his ass and arose and gat him home to his house, to his city, and put his household in order, and hanged himself, and died, and was buried in the sepulchre of his father. This man had suffered shame because his counsel was no longer appreciated. Nobody wanted to hear from him. He dealt with guilt. He was dealt with annihilation. He felt hopeless. He felt like a failure. He was in distress, and he was disappointed. How many know that's a recipe right there for somebody to say, I don't want to go on. But he hanged himself and died. Now, the third one, we don't have to turn there. All of us know who Judas Iscariot was.